I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. IV made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. So this is how you can get ahead of 99% of people in 6 to 12 months or less. And I want to be really clear right from the beginning. This is not about working some crazy 80-hour weeks or following some complicated system that takes months to figure out. This is about working differently. It is about focusing on what actually moves the needle and just being a little bit smarter than the average person. That is it. It is not that crazy. So let S waste no time. Let S dive right in. The first point I want to talk to you about is arguably the most important one, and it is something most people never even think about. I call it psychological arbitrage. Okay, this is very powerful, and most opportunities in life exist because of other people. S, mental barriers. I know that sounds kind of messed up, but that is just the reality of how the world works. When markets crash, most people freeze up. They panic, they sell everything, they run away. IV talked about this before, but that is literally when buying opportunities appear. When a new platform launches, most people wait to see if it is worth their time. They want to see if other people succeed first. Early adopters win in cases like that every single time. Think about crypto, for example. I need to take my own advice here, honestly, because I've been sitting on the sidelines watching crypto just absolutely rip the last couple of years, and I keep telling myself I am waiting to see how it plays out. Who knows if that is actually going to keep up right, but in theory, the people who got in early took the risk and they got the reward. That is the whole game. I actually built something I call fear setting into my daily or weekly practice. I literally sit down and write out what I am avoiding and why, and then I take one small action toward that thing. It sounds simple, but it builds something I call decision velocity. It makes you able to move quickly when other people are hesitating. You need to be nimble, especially if you are young. Like, you need to understand that being young is literally your biggest advantage. You can take more risks than the average person because you have time on your side. You can recover from mistakes, you can get ahead of your peers, and I am all for some healthy competition, especially as a young man trying to build something for himself. You need to be agile. Where other people spend their entire lives in this analysis paralysis mode, that is where you can get ahead. I see it all the time. People come up with crazy good ideas, but then they do absolutely nothing about them. And then 6 months later, they see someone else did that exact thing and made a fortune, and they sit there saying, oh, what could have been? Oh, imagine if I actually did that business idea. Oh, that business turned into a multi-6-figure, 7-figure opportunity for someone else. It is like, well, that could have been you, brother, but you didn't take the risk. So I just want you to understand these points on a psychological level, because a lot of people don't teach. And that actually goes right into point number 2, which is very similar. It is another mental one, but it is one I've used personally for years. I use my negative emotions as fuel. I almost force myself to think backwards. Think about it. We naturally as humans ask ourselves, how do I get from point A to point B? What happens if I go to the gym today? What happens if I invest this money? There is risks in that. So what happens is people stay stuck in this weird middle ground where they do just enough to get by, but not enough to actually get ahead because they know the work that is needed to get there. So they psych themselves out. They say, oh, it is really hard. I can do this. I am not smart enough. I don't have enough money. Instead, what you need to do is ask yourself a different question. What happens if I don't invest this money right now? What happens if I don't go to the gym today? What happens if I don't upload this video? What happens if I don't do the thing that scares me in the short amount of time that I have on this earth? And I promise you, your thinking and your actions will change immediately by just flipping the question around. I know it sounds a little toxic, and I wouldn't do it every single day, but it really did propel me further in my career when I was in my early 20s. It gave me that fire that I needed to keep going when things got hard, and I think it will continue to work for the rest of my life. Having that fire lit is something I will use forever. I highly recommend you do the same. The next point is something I call the proximity principle. This is something I have done and I still do to this day. It does matter what level I get to, I am probably always going to do this because it works. I noticed my personal growth skyrocketed when I started forcing myself around people who were already where I wanted to be. Here is exactly what I did. I found typically around 25 to 30 people at a time who had achieved almost exactly what I wanted. High net worth status business, started family, nice cars, whatever it was. And then I reached out with a very simple message, completely cold. I'd say something like, I admire what you've built, especially with this specific thing that you did. I am working on my own goal and would love to ask you about 3 specific questions over a call. I'd offer to pay for it sometimes, and some people would happily accept. So I'd pay them for their time and be respectful. But some people would just decline and say, hey man, sure, I don't need your money, let us chat. I am always happy to talk to a young, ambitious guy. People appreciate that energy. There is not enough of this going around in my opinion, and this got me a crazy 40 to 50% response rate. Most people trying to network ask the worst possible question. They say, can I pick your brain? Let us meet for coffee. And it is like, dude, what do you think that is going to get you? You are going to get ignored. You are going to get sent to spam. You are going to get declined right away. Be specific, be upfront, be very respectful of their time. Just say, hey, I want to chat with you. UV clearly crushed it. Compliment them genuinely. And that really does work. Just getting around successful people. In the age of the internet, there is no excuse not to do this. The next one I want to talk about, I call it the 1% skill acquisition method. Focus on high leverage skills that create a huge upside of results. Not all skills are equal. I have found skills that have what I call asymmetric upside, where learning that one thing has opened many doors for other skills to be easily learned. For example, I spent months improving my sales skills and my communication skills. That one investment boosted my ability to negotiate better, to lead a team better, to drive crazy revenue numbers all at once under one single skill. Don T, just learn what everyone else is learning. Ask yourself what skill would actually make everything in my life easier. Boom, that is your 1% skill. And if you really want to take it to the next level, become pretty good at 2 to 3 complementary skills versus being a master of one. Let me give you a basic example. Say you are a guitar player. I don't care if you are the best guitar player in the world, if you can monetize it, if you can get attention on it, if you can do anything else with it. Then what is the point? But think of this. If you are an above average guitar player, maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10, but you can combine that with uploading YouTube videos and creating content and offering tutoring, you could make a crazy living. You get attention, you funnel that attention to an offer, and you are pretty good at playing guitar. Which one would you take? The 10 out of 10 master guitar player who has nothing else going for him, or the person who can combine multiple skills? I look at this with fitness influencers all the time. There are guys that are absolutely yoked out of their minds, but they rebroke, they have no social media audience, they have no business, they drive a beater old car, and I am like, brother, what are you doing? The gym is your whole life and you can even hold a conversation. Meanwhile, I know this guy who has a pretty average physique, but he is witty, he is rich, he is fun, he has got a good family. It is like be a well-rounded person and everything else in your life will follow. I know that is a controversial take, but it is the truth. The next one is the income stack strategy. Instead of just focusing on building your salary and staying in your little 9-to-5 box, which let me be clear, I am not against 9-to-5s at all. I am just saying if you want to get ahead, which is what this channel is about, you need to have either multiple income streams or go all in on a business. You need to own equity in something. Here's how I evaluate opportunities. I get pitched stuff all the time and I look at every opportunity using 3 questions. Can I start this with less than 10 hours a week of work? Number 2, can this eventually be automated or delegated? Both is best. Number 3, does this leverage skills I already have? Going back to my early days, I started with simple freelancing and appointment setting and lead generation. Then I created my own agency from that expertise. Then I built systems around it with employees to buy my time back, and I made way more money. That is ultimate leverage. In 2022, I made just under 330 grand as a freelancer, but I was working 12 hours a day. I was grinding like crazy after taxes. I had saved about 120 grand in my account at the end of that year. I had over 6 figures in my account just from that 1 year. I was like, holy crap, that was the first time I saw 6 figures, but then I realized the work it took to get there. You need to get yourself out of the weeds. Then the second year I made double, but I literally cut my workload by about 30 to 40%. I worked way less because I bought my time back. Now with AI, you could do that left, right, and center. This is so possible in this day and age. So focus on creating content because you create a piece of content once, and it could be viewed for the rest of time. It could be viewed millions of times over. That is why I like video creation over streaming. In my personal opinion, you get so much more done with less effort. You have ultimate leverage. Just think about that. The last point is something a lot of people don't do, and it is why they stay stuck. I call it the 90-day review system. What gets measured gets improved. Every 90 days, I sit down, sometimes even monthly, with a simple spreadsheet, and I look at what activities actually move me forward. That quarter financial, personal, emotional growth, whatever it is. Where am I spending time without getting any results? What is one thing I would change that could make everything else easier? This keeps me brutally honest with myself and prevents me from staying busy in that hustle culture without making any progress. I know guys who work 3 hours a day and make millions, and I know people who work 8 to 10 hours a day, and Dante even makes 6 figures. It is all about leverage. It is all about the vehicle that you are in and using your skills effectively. It is a combination of everything. Most people never review these things, and then they just keep making the same mistakes, living the same miserable life over and over and over again. It is a total waste, and then some of them even blame the external world. It is like, dude, you are not even doing the work that is needed. You don't understand what is happening right now. So again, I wanted to keep this short and sweet. This is a crazy actionable video that you can take and apply to your life today. Just rip the whole thing and start implementing. Please do the work that is needed. Your life will change drastically. Take it from me. I was broke, I was lost, I was making every mistake in the book, and I turned it around by applying exactly what I just shared with you. And as always, if you made it this far, I want to see you win. Thank you for watching. Peace.